I'm 78 now, and there's a particular sound that follows me through the house in the evenings. It's not loud. Most people wouldn't even call it a sound. It's the absence of one. The way rooms stay quiet after the light is turned off. The way nothing answers when I clear my throat, as if someone might still be there. I sit in the same chair every night, the one closest to the window. The view hasn't changed much in decades. Same street, same trees, same slow passing of cars. What's changed is what I expect to feel while sitting here. There was a time when this chair felt like rest, like arrival. Now it feels like a pause. I don't know what to do with. There are things missing from my life that didn't disappear suddenly. They faded, gradually, politely. The kind of loss you don't notice until it's already settled in. People often think regret comes from one bad decision, one mistake you can point to. That hasn't been my experience. For me, regret came from accumulation, from small choices that didn't feel like choices at all. At 78, I don't spend much time thinking about what I achieved. Those memories feel distant, flattened. What stays sharp are the things that never fully happened. Conversations that ended too early. Moments I assumed would repeat themselves. Time I treated as flexible, renewable. There's a particular heaviness that comes from realizing something mattered more than you understood at the time. It's not dramatic. It doesn't knock the wind out of you. It settles in quietly like dust. And once it's there, you start seeing it everywhere. I didn't lose everything. That's the strange part. I still have my health more or less. I still have a roof over my head. I still wake up every morning. But something essential feels thinner than it used to be. As if I lived most of my life, facing forward only to realize too late that something important had been happening behind me the entire time. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. And that understanding arrived after the damage was already done. There was a long stretch of my life when everything felt stable, predictable. I woke up knowing exactly what the day required of me. Work, responsibilities, routines. I mistook that predictability for control. I believed that as long as things kept moving forward, nothing truly important could be slipping away. Back then, I didn't feel like I was neglecting anything. I felt responsible, focused, necessary. I told myself that the things I was postponing weren't disappearing, they were just waiting for a better time, a calmer season, a version of me that had more energy to give. I didn't question that logic because it worked. On paper, my life made sense. I was present enough to feel involved, absent enough not to feel overwhelmed. I learned how to stay busy without feeling rushed, productive without feeling alive. The people in my life seemed permanent then, familiar, predictable. I assumed relationships were sturdy by default, that they didn't require constant attention to survive, that proximity alone was enough to keep them intact. I didn't notice when certain conversations became shorter, when visits turned into check-ins, when listening was replaced by nodding. None of it felt urgent. None of it felt like loss. I thought I was choosing wisely. I thought I was prioritizing. What I didn't realize was that I was also deferring presence, deferring care, deferring the kind of attention that doesn't announce its importance until it's gone. If you had asked me then whether I felt I was losing something, I would have laughed. My life felt full. Not emotionally full perhaps, but occupied, structured, balanced enough. Looking back now, that balance feels misleading. Like standing still on a moving platform and believing you're the one in control. Time has a way of revealing patterns you couldn't see while you were inside them. At first the changes were subtle. A missed call here, a postponed visit there. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that demanded immediate attention. Then the gap started to widen, not in obvious ways, in tone, in familiarity. In the way certain people stopped sharing details because I didn't ask anymore, or because I always seemed to be in the middle of something else. I began noticing the strange feeling after certain interactions. A faint dissatisfaction I couldn't explain. I would leave conversations feeling unfinished, though nothing specific had been left unsaid. I would return home feeling like I'd been present without truly arriving. Regret doesn't begin as pain. It begins as discomfort, as a quiet sense that something isn't lining up the way it used to. I ignored that feeling for a long time. I told myself it was just age, fatigue, the natural narrowing of life. But patterns don't go away just because you refuse to name them. They repeat. And with each repetition, they grow heavier. I started noticing how often I remembered moments that hadn't happened. How frequently my mind returned to opportunities I'd brushed aside. Not because I didn't care, but because I assumed there would be another chance. That's when regret began to take shape. Not as guilt, not as self-blame, but as recognition. Recognition that I had been present for my own life without fully participating in it. I still didn't understand what that meant. I just knew that something had shifted. Something that couldn't be undone by simply paying more attention moving forward. The moment that changed things wasn't dramatic. There was no argument, no loss announced by a phone call. No clear dividing line between before and after. It was a pause. I was sitting alone one afternoon, flipping through a stack of old papers I had meant to organize years earlier. Receipts, notes, photographs, evidence of a life lived efficiently, if not deeply. I came across something ordinary. A reminder of a plan that never materialized. A note written in my own handwriting, promising time I never made. The silence in the room felt heavier than usual, not lonely, just exposed. As if there was nothing left to distract me from the truth I'd been avoiding. That's when I felt it clearly for the first time. The weight of what couldn't be recovered. Not because it was taken from me, but because I had allowed it to slip by unnoticed. I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I just sat there, aware in a way I hadn't been before. Aware that the life I thought I was carefully managing had been quietly reshaping itself around my inattention. There are moments that don't demand action. They demand acknowledgement. This was one of them. I couldn't ignore it anymore. After that day, memories began rearranging themselves. Moments I'd once considered minor started to feel significant. Decisions I'd labeled as practical revealed emotional consequences I hadn't accounted for. I began to see how often I chose convenience over connection, efficiency over presence, stability over attentiveness. None of those choices were wrong on their own, but together they formed a pattern I hadn't recognized until it was complete. I saw how often I listened with half my attention, how frequently I assumed understanding without checking, how rarely I allowed myself to linger in moments that didn't serve an immediate purpose. The regret deepened not because I wanted to change the past, but because I finally understood it. I saw how easily meaning can be missed when you're busy managing outcomes. Still, meaning hadn't arrived yet, only clarity. And clarity without meaning can be heavy. It shows you the shape of your life without offering comfort about it. I wasn't angry with my younger self. I was unfamiliar with him. He had been operating under assumptions I no longer shared. Assumptions about time, about durability, about what could safely be postponed. Seeing my life this way didn't fix anything, but it made it impossible to look away. The realization didn't come all at once. It arrived in fragments, in quiet observations, in moments when nothing was happening and everything suddenly felt clear. I understood finally that attention is not automatic, that presence is not guaranteed by proximity, that meaning isn't something you arrive at. It's something you notice while it's happening. What I lost wasn't caused by one mistake. It was caused by a misunderstanding. A belief that life would always slow down when it needed to. That important things would announce themselves. Clearly, they don't. Understanding that came too late to recover what had already passed. but it changed how I hold what remains. It shifted the way I sit in silence, the way I listen, the way I allow moments to unfold without rushing past them. There's a strange peace in understanding something you can't fix, not relief, not happiness, just honesty. This realization didn't undo the damage, but it gave the damage meaning. And that, at this stage of life, matters more than correction. I don't share this because I think my experience is unique. I share it because it's common, quietly common. The kind of realization many people reach, but rarely talk about while there's still time to notice it. I wonder how often you move through your days without fully arriving in them. How frequently you assume certain things will still be there. When you're ready to pay attention. I'm not asking you to change anything. I'm not offering advice. I'm simply offering a question, one I didn't ask myself soon enough. What are you treating as permanent that may not be? You don't have to answer it now. I didn't. I let it sit unanswered for decades. But questions like that don't disappear. They wait. Living with both regret and meaning is a balancing act. Some days, regret feels heavier. Other days, meaning does. Neither one fully replaces the other. At 78, I don't pretend I've figured everything out. I've simply stopped, assuming there will be more time to notice what's happening right now. I live differently, not better, just more aware. I let moments finish. I sit longer in silence. I allow the weight of understanding to exist without rushing to resolve it. The damage remains. So does the meaning that followed it. And perhaps that's how it's meant to be. Not clean, not resolved. Just seen.